All right. So it's a little after 2. Everyone's so prompt today. I think I always say this, but I think we might get through this in an hour because we're only making 2 things. Clara's like, I don't know. Um, but these are two of the things that I think our family eats a lot. I mean, we make kale salad at least once or twice a week, and we make this eggy pasta a lot. I've been making it since I was in college and throughout grad school. Whenever I want a really quick and easy meal that has all the ingredients I already have on hand, I just make this. But the first thing we're going to tackle is we're going to tackle our kale salad first because I want a clean cutting board. We're going to use our clean cutting board first to cut up our kale, and I'll show you how to massage it. And then that way we don't have to change cutting boards. We don't have to clean the cutting board. We can use the same cutting board to cut the bacon or pancetta or mushrooms if you're using mushrooms. And it'll be really easy. So let's have everybody take your kale, and your kale should be washed and off the stem. Does anybody need some time to take it off the stem, or is everybody all set? Okay, so your kale should be good. So your kale should, yeah.
Our dino kale, is this taken off the stem or should we take it off?
Yeah, strip it off the stem. It'll be really fast. Just zip it off.
Okay, Ethan can.
Yeah. So if anybody needs a demonstration on how to zip it off off your kale off the stem, I can show you. But you don't need a knife. You can just do it with your hands. So I've already done mine, but I have a couple stems still in here. So actually, maybe I stripped them all. Well, here's an example. I'll show you what. Okay, so let's say this is like a long piece of stem with kale. What I do is I grab the end of it. I grab one end at the very tip, and I'm right-handed, so I use my right hand, and I kind of pinch around the stem like this, and then I just zip it off like that. So in my right hand, I'm left with the leaves, and then in my left hand, I'm left with the stem. Make sense? Oh, and I realized I forgot my garbage bowl, so let me go grab that. Okay, so for those of you who are ready to cut up your kale, let's do that now. So I'm just gonna take a handful of kale, just like this on my cutting board. I'm just grabbing a handful. I'm taking my big chef's knife, and I'm just gonna cut it into strips. You can cut it, doesn't have to be any like particular size, but just cut it into strips. You don't have to line them up or anything. You just take a big wad of kale, just a big handful, and then just cut it into strips. You're gonna be massaging this later with your hands, so you can squeeze it together as tightly as you can into a bundle, and then just cut it into strips like this, see? So it's just little pieces, just like that. So do that with all of your kale and put it into your salad bowl, which should be next to your cutting board too. I'll do that here. Here's my salad bowl from Cameron's mom. It's my birthday present one year. I use it all the time. So I'm taking a big handful of kale, putting it on my cutting board and kind of squeezing it together like a big bundle, just like this, kind of as compactly as possible. I'm just cutting it into strips, just running my knife through this big bundle into cutting it into strips. This might take us a little while. I'm doing two big bunches of kale. So, and it's gonna look like a ton in your cutting board, in your salad bowl, but it's gonna shrink once we massage it. I'll show you. Again, taking my big handful of kale, bundling it all up in a big bunch on my cutting board, and then taking my knife and just running it through into strips. I'm not a very precise cook, so but I feel like a lot of the food I make, I think food in general is pretty forgiving, as long as you don't need to boil the water just yet, Shmoo. We're gonna boil the water in a little bit once we do our pancetta, once we start our pancetta. Thanks for asking. Okay, I'm gonna get the rest of my kale in my salad spinner. How's everyone's week going? Weekend going? All done, Dee? Good. Okay, so yeah, and I'm just taking my, I know it's filling up my bowl, but it's gonna all get compressed once you start massaging it. I haven't been reminding everyone to make sure your hands are washed, but I assume everybody knows that already. Make sure your hands are washed before you handle any food. Okay, look at my bowl of kale is overflowing. So I'm gonna fill mine up. It's like kind of peeking over the top a little bit, but that's okay. So we're gonna do some stuff with it. So I'll just wait for a little bit till I see people's kale mostly chopped and processed. Who's that? Marco, did we lose you? Are you back? Are you back, Marco? Did we lose you? Hey, Marco, are you back?
Yeah.
Cool. We were just cutting kale. What part did I lose you at?
I did it.
You did it? Oh, nice. Okay, good. So your kale's all cut into strips. Excellent. Okay, so as people start finishing up, I'll let you know the next step. We're going to get your salt and your olive oil ready. So depending on how much kale you have, as you can see, I have a lot of kale in this bowl, but it's gonna shrink down quite a bit. And what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna take some salt. I'm gonna take, and again, I don't measure because it just depends on how much kale you have. I have 2 bunches in here. I'm gonna start with about a half a teaspoon, which looks like this. I'm just gonna take like 2 big healthy pinches. If you're using your hands, if you wanna reach your hands into the kosher salt, and again, I try to use kosher salt in all my cooking, just because it's a little bit, it's the right amount of saltiness. Iodized salt tends to be really salty, and sea salt also can be a little inconsistent because of the size of it, because some of the flakes are bigger than other flakes. So I'm just using kosher salt because it's very even. It's a very easy kind of salt to work with. I'm using finely ground kosher salt. There's also coarsely ground, but anyhow, I'm using about a half a teaspoon to a teaspoon of salt. I'm gonna sprinkle it all over my kale. So I'm using about a half a teaspoon to a teaspoon. It really depends on how much kale you have, okay? And the next thing I'm gonna do is taking my olive oil, and we're going to pour in, I would say if you have 2 bunches of kale, I would say at least about a 1/4 cup of olive oil. So I'm using about a 1/4 cup. I'm just gonna eyeball how much I think I need, about a 1/4 cup. And you can always add more later, but you want enough olive oil to kind of just coat all the leaves, because what we're going to do next is we're going to plunge our hands into this bowl of kale and just scrunch it all together. We're going to massage our kale. Okay, you can use more oil later if you need to, but start with about a 1/4 cup of olive oil if you're using about 2 bunches of kale. Any questions before I start massaging? Okay, so rather than use tongs, you can use tongs if you want, But I really feel like my audio, I see what you're doing. You're just like totally getting your hands in there. That's right. I feel like if you use your hands, you can really get a better massage. You can really get a better grip on the kale and really break it down, because what we're trying to do here with this method is we're trying to break down the fibers of the kale leaves. The kale leaves are pretty hardy, pretty coarse, right? So what massaging does is it softens it up and it makes it easier to chew and eat and tastier. And you can see the salt, once it's getting incorporated into the leaves, it's actually breaking down some of the cell fibers of the vegetable fibers, the cell walls of the vegetable fiber. And it's going to be releasing some liquid. But right now we're just going to see, you can already see my kale is shrinking, and yours should be too. The salt and the olive oil together should be shrinking it all down. If some of it falls off to the side of your bowl, that's totally fine. Just pick it up and incorporate it back in. And this can be a really fun way to de-stress after a long day, or if you're stressed, it's a really nice thing to do to kind of like work out your stress and your anxiety on the kale. Just squeeze it all together, massage it. If you're like me and you have kind of dry hands from washing your hands all the time, it's kind of moisturizing your hands too. So really kind of get in there. If you feel like you need a little bit more olive oil, feel free to add it. Maybe rinse your hands first, or have somebody else nearby help you pour it in. I'm probably going to add a little bit more in a little bit, but I'm just going to keep massaging. There is such a thing as not massaging enough. Clara complains sometimes that it's not massaged enough and it's too hard for her to chew. And as many of you know, or maybe your parents already know this, kale is one of the most nutrient-dense vegetables out there. It's so full of antioxidants and vitamins and just really good vitamins for you. Okay, so here's my kale, and it's just gonna, we're just gonna let this sit and hang out for a little bit while we prepare the rest of our meal. If you have any kale hanging out on the side of your cutting board or your countertop, feel free to incorporate it back in. Okay. And then if you have any other vegetables like garlic, or if you have your lemon too, let's get that ready because we're gonna do that next. So I'm gonna set my kale bowl aside, my salad bowl. I'm gonna rinse my hands really quick. Okay. So if you have your lemon, and you don't have to use lemon. I happen to have a lot of lemons from Taryn and Coda's tree. So I'm gonna use this lemon that I zested yesterday for another recipe. I'm gonna cut it in half, and I'm just going to squeeze it into my salad. I'm using about a half a lemon right now. But it depends on the size of your lemon. Okay. And then I'm gonna take, before I mix it in, I'm gonna also take my garlic clove. I'm gonna smash 1 clove of garlic so I can peel it, and I'm gonna finely mince it. If you have a garlic press, you can use your garlic press. If you have your microplane, you can use it to grate. But I'm just gonna mince my garlic and incorporate it into my my salad. And you remember, I've said this in the past, but make sure you cut the hard kind of stem part off the garlic. And this garlic, you can see, I don't know if you can tell. Yeah, is there a question?
Could we use a lemon squeezer to squeeze the lemon?
Of course, yeah. Anything you'd like. This garlic has some bruises on it, so I'm just gonna cut those bruises off here. And then I'm just gonna take my garlic and I'm gonna mince it. If you don't like garlic, you can leave it out. You can also put in shallots or green onion. And then any other vegetable you want to add to your salad today. I think I listed some optional vegetables like red onion or carrots or celery or cucumber. but anything you want to add, or you can just have a plain kale salad, just like this. I'll show you some other variations of kale salad in the future. I like to add avocado to mine, but this recipe we're making for the carbonara is already pretty rich, so I decided to leave the avocado out, but you're welcome to add it in if you'd like. Tomatoes are nice. Yeah, celery, carrots, cucumber, any vegetables you have.
Adds cranberries.
Oh, that sounds good. Yeah, cranberry is a nice addition. I'm just very finely mincing it. We have kale salad a lot, not just with like non-Asian dishes. I'm adding my garlic now to my salad, by the way. I'm just gonna put it on top. It's gonna be pretty garlicky, but no one's going anywhere anyway, so it's totally fine to have garlic breath. Yeah, I have an ingredient I actually like to add to my kale salad recipe, but I'll make it for you next time when we make another dish. So I have my olive oil and salt in my dressing, my kale salad incorporated in. I have my lemon juice and my garlic. I'm gonna add a little bit of red onion, and I happen to have some left over from, we had burgers this week, so I'm just gonna incorporate these in. But yeah, feel free to add any other vegetable you have lying around. Any questions? And then take your salad tongs and toss it all together. And before we serve anything, remember, what's the final thing everybody has to do? What do you do before you serve anything out of your kitchen? Not garnish.
Taste it.
Taste it, exactly. Yeah, Lisa, you taste it. So taste it for tartness, taste it for saltiness. Make sure that you feel like there's enough oil in it. There should be a little bit of richness from the olive oil. Mine's pretty tart, so I'm going to add a little bit more olive oil just to try to balance out the tartness. And then I'm going to add some black pepper, some freshly ground black pepper, which you should have a lot of because we're going to use a lot of it in our pasta too. Okay, so just give it a final toss after you've tasted it and incorporated all your vegetables. And then we're just going to let this sit and marinate. You could serve it right now if you wanted to, if you were ready to have dinner, but I think the longer it sits, the nicer it kind of mellows, the flavors all get to kind of meld together. So now your salad's done. And then we can set this salad aside. All right. I'll let everybody finish up their salad.
Lynna, could we add cranberries to them?
You can add anything you want to your salad. Yeah, it would taste great. Cool. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to have you fill up your pasta bowls or your pasta pots. I think I actually had you already fill it up about 2/3 of the way full. So a few of us have made pasta together. Make sure you fill up your pasta bowl about 2/3 of the way, not too full because we're going to put in about 1 pound of pasta. And go ahead, turn it up onto high. You don't need to add salt yet. I typically don't add the salt until after it started to boil. I think I read somewhere before that, I don't know, adding it when it's just harder to gauge how much salt to add, I think. and it melts in a lot faster. And
If you add salt at the beginning, it takes longer for it to boil.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Alice.
I learned that in high school chemistry.
I knew there was a reason. So go ahead and fill your pasta pots with water about 2/3 full. Turn it up to high. Put the lid on it so it comes to a boil faster. It saves you some energy. So I'm gonna turn my heat up and have my lid on. And then we're gonna start processing our other ingredients. So you know, clear your cutting board. If you have little bits of kale on it, it's totally fine. We're gonna use the same cutting board that you use to cut your kale and garlic to cut either your mushrooms or your pancetta. So for anyone using mushrooms, can I see a show of hands? Anyone using mushrooms today? Okay, Emily. Anyone else? Just me and Emily? Or sorry, Talia.
My pancetta's already prepped.
Oh, okay. Was that Brenna?
It's already diced.
Nice, Brenna. Good. Okay, you're a step ahead of us. I'm still gonna dice up my pancetta. Some of you may have it already diced like Brenna. Mine is not. I will show you though how I'm gonna cut up my mushroom. A couple of ways. You can either slice it, or you can. It's up to you, Talia, whether you want to have it sliced or whether you want it into quarters. Did I mention how to cut it? Let's see. I don't think I did. Yeah, I just said wash. So I'm just gonna slice mine. I'm cutting mine about, let's see, Corbin, are you doing mushrooms too? Where's Corbin? Corbin's usually doing the vegetarian option. Okay. Oh, where is he? Oh, you're not. Okay. So I'm just slicing mine, Talia, about like 1/4 inch thick, like this. Okay. So go ahead and slice up all your mushrooms. And then for my pancetta, I bought a big chunk of it here. I don't know if anyone else has a big chunk like mine, but I just buy it like this from the butcher. And there's a number of ways you can dice it or cut it. I'm going to cut mine, I think, I'm just gonna cut mine down like this, like around here, like that. And then I'm just gonna cut it into chunks. So pretty big chunks, because it's gonna shrink. So I'm cutting my pancetta, or if you're using bacon or guanciale, you can also cut it into dice. How big are these? These are about like 1/2 inch. Yeah, about 1/2 inch big. Okay, just like this. And then you can do this to your bacon also. I like my pancetta and my bacon sliced not too small because I like having meatier chunks of bacon and pancetta. And I think, Mathis, you're using Canadian bacon, right? Because you guys, they were sold out of pancetta. Okay, yeah, Canadian bacon's not as fatty, but so you'll have a healthier version of this carbonara. And sometimes, you know what? A lot of times I didn't have bacon around the house I don't always have bacon on the house, but so you can also make this dish without any bacon too. Cool. Yeah, it's okay if your pancetta came pre-diced and diced small, it's totally fine. It's okay. We just make do with what we have. So I have all of my pancetta here. I'm going to wash my hands with soap, and I'm going to turn on the heat for my saute pan that I'm going to cook my pancetta in. So go ahead and do that. All right, so I have my pan, a saute pan. Let me see, what did I specify for your pan? It should be, let's see. Oh, did I not specify a pan for saute? Okay, well, I'm not sure if I included this in my list, but I have a saute pan that's about 12 inches wide, and it has like a side to it. So if you can possibly find a pan like this for your bacon or pancetta or mushrooms, that's about this size, because this is going to be the pan that we put our pancetta into.
Wait, we have another pot that we put our pasta in, right?
Yes, so your pasta pot should be on the stove right now with water in it, and it should be starting to boil.
Do we put noodles?
No, you wait till it comes to a boil. We'll do that together.
Okay, thanks.
But you need a separate pan. Xiaomei, yeah, that's fine. That's a good one. Yeah, put that on the stove and put it up to about medium heat.
Lynna.
Yeah.
Is this
Yeah,
one good?
perfect. Perfect. It looks just like mine. Thank you. Yeah, perfect. How are you doing, Marco? Do you have your pan ready?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
fine.
Lynna,
Good.
which pan should I use? This one with the border or this one?
Brenna, let me see. Use the one with the border.
This one?
Use the one you're holding. Yeah.
Wait, what temperature do we put our pan on?
Medium.
Yep. Okay.
Medium. Ella, do
It's
you
okay.
have one that's a little flatter, that has a little bit more surface area?
I have like a bigger version of that.
Because that's like a wok, right?
Yeah, we.
Oh, okay. Just use the smaller one in your hand. Use the other one.
Okay.
Yeah, use that one.
Thank you.
Tell one is boiling.
One has bubbles.
Oh, okay.
Good question. Okay, so now that your pan is hot, if you're using Canadian bacon or mushrooms, go ahead and put in some butter or olive oil. If you're using pancetta and bacon, we don't need to use any oil because we're gonna have plenty of fat render out of your bacon or your pancetta. So if you have your pancetta ready, all chopped, go ahead and put it into your heated pan. Okay. And you can hear it sizzle already. It's already gonna start to sizzle. Okay. So if you're using a metal pan, you can use either a wooden or a metal spoon. If you're using a nonstick pan, definitely use a wooden spoon. And just kind of stir it together. We're just gonna let this kind of hang out here right now. On medium heat, yeah?
If you had pancetta or bacon, you do need to put oil in.
No oil. If you're using bacon or pancetta, you do not need to use oil because plenty of oil is gonna render out.
Okay.
Okay, so just give it a stir. And then the next thing we're gonna do is we're going to start separating our eggs.
Auntie Lynna,
Yeah?
if I'm using bacon and the pancetta, should I put them both in at the same time?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Wait, should I like dice the bacon or no, leave them as strips?
Dice them. Dice the bacon into big chunks, not too small, but like half an inch wide. So we're gonna start, I'm gonna clear our cutting board, guys, because I think we're done with our cutting board. And maybe even our knife. So I'm gonna clear this out of the way. And we're gonna start separating eggs now. So I'll show you how I'm gonna do it. And one piece of advice I've been given, which I don't always follow, but I should, is when you are using eggs, you should use a separate bowl, because what can happen is that on the very, very, very off chance you get an egg that's not good, that's a rotten egg, which very rarely happens. But this way it'll prevent you from ruining your whole dish. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna break my egg into the little bowl first. Oh, see, this egg has a hole in it. I'm not even gonna use this one. Okay.
Lynna, sorry, this is Lisa. Are we supposed to just leave the stuff cooking on the stove?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yours might be done sooner. You just want it to brown a little bit, okay? And give it a stir every so often. Keep it on medium low, everybody. Keep your bacon on medium low. because we're gonna take some time to do some other things first. Okay, so we're gonna start separating eggs. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to separate, I'm gonna show you how to separate egg yolks and egg whites. There's a number of different ways you can do it. This way tends to be easiest, I think, for kids, is I break it, I kind of crack it a little bit on the side of my counter. I don't do it on the side of my bowl because you don't want little eggshell particles or little eggshell dust in your bowl. You want it to do it on the side of a counter or on the side of another bowl, like maybe like your compost bowl or like a cheese bowl or some other bowl that you're not using. And I'm gonna kind of break the side of it very gently, not all the way. And then I'm going to hold my egg over my bowl. And I'm gonna take my thumbs and kind of poke my thumbs in and then break it in half. And then I have my egg in one half of my hand and half the shell, right? I'm gonna pour it into my other hand like this, so that the egg white kind of runs out in between my fingers. And then I'm just gonna save the egg yolk and put it in my big mixing bowl, my big glass mixing bowl. Make sure you pay attention to any eggshells. Like I actually see a little eggshell here on the side of my egg yolk. I'm just gonna take it off. I'm gonna do the same. I'm gonna do 6 egg yolks in here, 6 egg yolks. And then you can also just pour the egg whites into a different bowl because you can save your egg whites for another use. So once again, I'm gonna take my egg, crack it on the side of the counter or side of another bowl, break it over my little ramekin bowl, and then hold the egg in one half of the shell and pour it into my other hand and let the egg yolk stay in my hand and let the egg white kind of run out between my fingers, and then put the egg yolk into my mixing bowl. Feel free to ask any questions. I'm going to rinse my hands really quick. If you have another person in the kitchen, have them kind of give your pancetta a little stir. If your water has come up to a boil, go ahead and just turn your heat down. Because let's finish one task first before we tackle the pasta. Okay, so go ahead and crack your egg and get your egg separated. We want 6 egg yolks and 2 whole eggs. You have a question, Taryn? It's okay if some of the egg white winds up with your egg yolk. Totally fine.
Wait, is it okay if one of your egg yolks pop?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it our water is boiling? Should we put the noodles in now?
No, let's turn your heat down because let's finish one task first before we tackle the eggs.
Okay.
This way, your hands will be, you don't have to keep washing your hands. So once you've done with your 6 egg yolks, go ahead and add in 2 whole eggs. Again, I'm just letting the egg yolks stay in my hands, and then I'm letting the egg white seep out. Every so often I pour out some of the egg white. And it's okay if your egg pops, if your egg yolk pops. So you should have a total of 6 egg yolks and 2 whole eggs inside your mixing bowl. Okay. So a total of 8 egg yolks in your mixing bowl. You can turn the heat down on your pancetta if it's starting to brown.
So, only the yolks of 6 of the eggs and then the whole egg
Yeah.
of 2 of them?
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Turn down the heat on your pancetta if it's starting to really boil. I'm starting to really brown. Turn down the heat.
Lynna, are the 6 egg yolks and the 2 whole eggs in the same bowl?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for asking that question. I was not clear about that. And then you can go ahead and store your egg whites in your fridge and save it for another use. All right.
Auntie Lena? What do you mean by 2 whole eggs? Like you put the egg white and the egg yolk like a
Yes.
in the same.
Yep.
Oh, and then in total there's 8 egg yolks?
Yep. Total egg yolk. Okay. So if your water is boiling, well, I'll let you guys all finish your egg yolk separating. But I've turned the heat down on my pancetta. I'm giving it a stir every so often so it doesn't burn on one side. I want it to be nicely brown and crisp. Okay. And then the pasta, you can get ready to add your pasta to your boiling water, but let's add some salt to it first. So if you have kosher salt, grab a good handful of kosher salt. I would say maybe like at least 3 or 4 tablespoons of kosher salt. You want the water to be salty because the pasta doesn't have much flavor.
Tablespoons or teaspoons?
Tablespoons.
Okay.
A good handful. It doesn't have to be a perfect measurement, but you want to get enough salt in there so that the water tastes like the sea. So I'm just gonna put in 3 or 4 tablespoons of salt.
You put it into the pasta water, right?
Yes, exactly. All right. So give it, once you add your salt, Question?
Can we put in our noodles yet?
Yeah, let's put in our noodles. After you add in your salt, make sure your water is still boiling. Put in your noodles and have in your hand a set of tongs so you can start stirring it immediately. You want to make sure to stir your noodles as soon as you get them into the water so that they don't stick to each other. So I'm adding 1 pound of pasta, preferably linguine or spaghetti. If you're using fresh pasta, your pasta is going to be done a lot quicker. I'm using dried pasta. So pay attention to what your packaging says. My pasta is probably going to be done in about 6 or 7 minutes. Actually even 5 minutes, depending on the brand and the thickness of your pasta. So I'm going to set a timer for 4 minutes, which is just 1 minute under what my pasta is going to be done at. I hate overcooked pasta, so I always undercook mine a little bit. Okay, so I'm waiting for my water to boil, or make sure your water is boiled. I tasted it, it tastes salty. And so I'm gonna add in all my pasta now. And then I'm gonna stir it right away, either with tongs or with a pasta spoon. Just make sure all the pasta gets into the water, it's fully submerged, and that you mix it right away so that none of it has a chance to stick to each other. And make sure the water may not be boiling right now, but it will come back to a boil. So we'll stick by it and kind of pay attention and turn it down if we need to. And again, make sure you give it a really good stir. You see, I'm still stirring my pasta. I want to make sure none of it sticks. My pancetta is still on the heat. I'm giving it a stir every so often. Clara, can you show it? My pancetta is looking pretty brown. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my heat down. But your pasta, depending on your stove and your pot, your pancetta may still need a little bit more time. But this is the brownness of the pasta of my pancetta. So I'm going to turn the heat down and turn it off now. because it's going to continue cooking a little bit in the heat, in the residual heat. Make sure all the sides are brown. Okay, I'm stirring my pasta again. Hey Google, set a timer for 3 minutes and 30 seconds. So my pasta package said it's going to be done in about 5 minutes. So I'm going to slightly undercook it because I just want to make sure I don't overcook it. Okay. Everybody ready? Got your pasta in? Make sure you give it a good stir. So now we're going to start making up
I'm still waiting for my water to boil.
Okay. Turn your heat up. Your pasta isn't ready yet. Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, not everybody's pasta water was ready yet. So just turn up the heat, put your pasta in whenever it's ready. And then turn off your pancetta or your bacon if you haven't already. If your pancetta is brown. And the next thing we're gonna do is we're going to, in the very short time we have, it's only like 2.5 minutes, my pasta's gonna be done. I'm gonna pour in my Parmesan and my Pecorino Romano into my egg mixture. My already grated cheese is gonna go into my egg mixture. And it's you want the kind that's very finely ground. You want it to almost like powdery ground if possible. I'm just gonna take my whisk and I'm gonna mix it in. Incorporate the egg yolk and the cheese all together. And you'll see it kind of comes together really quickly into like a creamy mass.
How much cheese do we add?
About 1/2 cup of each.
Okay, thank you.
A total of 1 cup. And then I'm turning down the heat of my pasta, everybody, because my pasta is coming to a boil. I don't want it to boil over, so I'm just paying attention to my pasta water, my pasta on the stove, and giving it a stir every so often. Okay, and go ahead and keep mixing your egg yolk and your cheese. And then I'm also now going to add some black pepper, freshly ground black pepper. Okay, freshly ground. The freshly ground black pepper tastes nuttier and has a stronger flavor, which is what you want in this pasta. You want it to be nicely flavored. I'm going to leave it up to you how much you want to put in, how peppery you want it. Okay. There. So I have my egg yolk and my cheese and my black pepper all mixed together. This does not need salt because your cheese is already salty and your pasta is going to be salty, and we're going to add some pasta water later to it too. So go ahead and get your cheese and your eggs incorporated. I don't need my whisk anymore, so I'm just going to set it aside. Don't need my whisk. Okay. And then now all I have to do is stand over my pasta. My pasta is going to be done in about 10 seconds. Some of you may need longer. Okay, keep stirring it. Stop. Okay, so I'm going to take out one strand of pasta very carefully with my finger, or you can do it with a pair of tongs and taste it. And it tastes pretty al dente, but it's almost done. I'd say if I want it to be cooked all the way, I would leave it in there another minute, but I think this pasta is about done. So I've turned off the heat on my pasta. Some of you may need more time. But here's where we have to move quickly, everybody. As soon as your pasta is ready, make sure your egg mixture is right by your stove. So bring your egg mixture
Lynna,
to the stove.
what does al dente mean?
Al dente means to the bite. So it should be a little bit, it should have a little bit of a chew to it. You don't want it too soft.
Really hard.
Okay, then keep stirring it. It's gonna need longer.
Okay. Okay.
All right. So my pasta is about done. I'm just letting it sit in the water. I turned off the heat of my pasta. Your pasta might need more time, but as soon as your pasta is to the texture you want, as soon as it's to the right texture you want, after you've tested it, it needs to go immediately into your egg and your cheese mixture. So I'm moving my egg and cheese mixture over to the stove. I'm going to take my tongs and I'm going to move the pasta into the egg mixture. Okay, so because what I want is I want the super hot pasta to cook the sauce. The eggs are going to get cooked with the pasta. Yes.
Do we want the pasta fully cooked, or are we gonna cook it later also?
No, you want it pretty fully cooked. We're just gonna be heating it through after this. We're going to be cooking it a little bit, but it should be pretty fully cooked. But al dente, make sure it's not overcooked. It's overcooked means it's too soft. So I'm just taking out with my tongs. I'm leaving the pasta and you notice I'm not draining the pasta because I want to keep this pasta water right now. Okay, so what I've done is I've taken all the pasta out of my pot, and now I'm putting my bowl over my pasta water, and I'm going to use that heat kind of as a double boiler. I'm going to mix my pasta into my sauce in this mixing bowl here. See that? And it's kind of cooking in the residual heat. It's cooking the pasta and the egg mixture. And it's getting creamy. This is what Clara calls ASMR. Yes, right? AMR.
Hey, Lynna,
Yeah.
do we add the pasta water to the?
Yes. So once your egg mixture is incorporated in, you can also add some pasta water to your egg mixture to kind of loosen it up a little bit. So, and it's also adds a little bit of salt too. So I'm adding like 1 ladle full of pasta water to my egg mixture and to my pasta mixture. Okay? Just like that. It should all be kind of creamy. You should hear it kind of mix all together. Okay, and then the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take our pancetta or bacon and add it to the pasta mixture. You don't need to drain it. We want some of the bacon fat. You don't have to, don't pour the bacon fat in. I mean, you can if you want, but I'm just gonna kind of scoop out the pancetta and leave the bacon fat behind. And I'm just adding it to my pasta mixture. And I'm gonna keep stirring. I don't know if those of you, have you ever, here, let me take it back to here, Mimi. I don't know if those of you who've watched YouTube ever watched cooking, people eating food videos where they have the sound of people eating food. It's called ASMR, like autonomous, what is it? No, autonomous sensory, oh shoot, I should have remembered it. But it's the sound of like this pasta being stirred together. It's the sound of food being stirred that makes it sound really, it's not just food. Yeah, okay, I meant, all right, it's just the sound that makes you feel good. All right, so as soon as your pasta is done, incorporate it straight into your egg mixture, and the heat of the pasta is going to cook the egg mixture. And it'll get really creamy. It'll make it into a nice sauce. And if you need to cook it a little more, you can put your bowl over your pasta water. It's a double boiler, and stir it, keep stirring. What you don't want is scrambled eggs. And I'm going to taste, as always. We always taste. Taste it for salt. Taste it for black pepper. Is it important to put over the heat? If your egg mixture, Ginger, seems really watery, go ahead and put it over the pasta water to heat it up to kind of start cooking the eggs a little bit.
Lena, it's more of a question of like, this is the bowl. That we
Oh, I see.
and
That's fine.
That's okay to put over the pasta water?
I think so. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because you're not putting it straight on the stove. It's just going over the water. Yeah, it's fine.
It's to water. I mean, it's, it's what we, anyway, we're just still waiting on our pasta. We'll see.
Okay. So your pasta should taste creamy and peppery and kind of rich.
Okay.
How is it, everybody? If it needs more cheese, feel free to add more cheese and black pepper.
Tonight I'm gonna do.
Hi, Grayson. Are you helping, Grayson? Yeah, you're helping. Hi, sweetie.
You don't check your messages.
Okay. How are you doing, everybody? You have to move quickly. Once your pasta's done, it has to go straight into your egg and cheese mixture.
Yeah.
And stir it all together as soon as it hits the cheese mixture. And then add pasta water to kind of loosen it up a little bit too. Do you know what sound I'm talking about, as those of you who are mixing your pasta? Yeah, Ella, you know what I'm talking about, right? ASMR. My kids are just like, Mom, stop. How's it going, Taryn? Ooh, I see your pasta's done. Good, you're adding it in? Awesome. Stir it as soon as it goes into your egg mixture. Stir it all together.
Lena.
Uh-huh.
It's so good.
Really? Yay! Thanks, Mayani. Did you taste it? You tasted it? Did you add in your pancetta or bacon?
Not yet, but we will.
Okay. Yeah. Add that in and add black pepper if you need it. And then finally, you can either serve it in this bowl or you can serve it into a separate pasta bowl if you want to. And don't forget to garnish with a little parsley if you have some chopped parsley or chives or. And we're done, guys. It's 5:55. Woo! Maybe this will make up a little bit for some of you who joined me on that 2-hour marathon one. Oh, Grayson, you look so cute. Grayson's my nephew. Clayton, you have a question, Clayton? No? Okay. Not like you to not ask me something. How you doing, Talia? Oh, Talia, I didn't even talk about the mushrooms. The mushrooms can go in. Yeah, that seems obvious, I'm sure. Who else is there? Corbin. Yeah.
You wrap meat and then you the pancetta and then put it on top of the pot to boil, or no? Or
Either you definitely the pasta needs to go straight into the eggs, and then you can stir it all together, and then you can add your pancetta. It doesn't matter. It's very forgiving. You can add your pancetta first. It's
Lena,
fine.
Does putting the pasta on top of the pot thicken it?
Yes, it's supposed to cook it a little bit. You don't want it to get too thick. You don't want it to become scrambled eggs.
Okay.
Yeah,
Lena,
and then you can also.
The pasta water, sorry.
Yeah, the pasta, I was just gonna say the pasta water added in too to kind of make it a little bit creamier and to season it. Mm-hmm. Melissa, happy birthday. I wish I was with you.
This is my birthday dinner. It's such a treat. I'm not doing
Oh, well, it's like as if I'm there.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
By the way, you look very, very chic and very beautiful in your outfit.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. This is an apron made by Chris Kokafer.
Oh,
yeah. It's very,
very chic.
Enjoy your dinner. What are you guys doing for dessert?
Are we still on?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Olivia Lee made me a really beautiful tahini blackberry cake last night.
Oh.
So,
Thank you,
Sounds
Lena.
amazing. Yeah, thanks, Mayadi.
Bye.
Enjoy.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Lynna.
Thank you, Lynna.
I'll still be here if anyone has
Thanks,
questions.
Lynna.
Thank you.
Say,
Enjoy.
say bye to Auntie Lena and say thank you.
Bye.
Auntie Lynna. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay,
Lena.
Lena.
Thank you.
Yeah, Vic, what's your question?
What do with the oil from the pancetta?
Oh, you just should drain that into a container and either save it for cooking something else or put it into like a can or something you can throw away. That goes into the trash, not into green bin, not into recycling. It goes into trash. The bacon oil. Bye, Talia. Thanks for joining. Bye.
Thank you.
Nice to see you.
Thanks again, Lena. I'm so excited to try this version.
I hope you like it.
Love it. Thank you.
Bye, Ginger. Thanks for joining.
Put parsley on it.